Sarah's hands trembled as she lifted the Little Caesars pizza box.
Not knowing that the chilling sights on top would shatter her world forever! Evelyn, her missing mother, had vanished 6 months ago until now, when her eyes stared back at Sarah from the most horrifying place imaginable. What kind of monster sends a message like this? And why? This is the story of a nightmare that no one in their quiet town could have ever expected. Sarah had never expected an ordinary pizza delivery to change her life forever. It was a chilly evening in early autumn when the doorbell rang, and she went to answer it, expecting the familiar sight of a cheerful delivery driver with her usual order from Little Caesars. But this time, something was terribly wrong. The box the driver handed her looked normal at first, bright orange with the bold Little Caesaress logo, but as Sarah took it inside, her eyes fell on a horrifying sight. Carefully placed on top of the box was a pair of human eyes, fresh, unsettling, and At first, Sarah thought she was hallucinating, or perhaps it was some sick joke. But as the initial shock faded, a dreadful realization struck her like a hammer. Those were her mother's eyes. Evelyn had been missing for 6 months. No clues, no sightings, no calls, just silence. And now, this terrible, unmistakable sign. Her heart pounded as she stared, unable to comprehend how something so macabre could arrive at her doorstep. The neighbors were nowhere in sight, and the street was eerily quiet, which made the moment even more chilling. Sarah's mind raced back to the last time she had seen her mother bright and lively, planning a small trip to the market. She had never returned. The police had conducted extensive searches, canvassing the neighborhood and checking hospitals. But Evelyn had simply vanished, without a trace. The arrival of this pizza box shattered any hope Sarah had held on to. But why send such a message? Who could do something so cruel? And why choose to reveal it in this way? The sight of the eyes made it clear. This was no random act of violence or a mere prank. Someone wanted Sarah to see, to know, and perhaps to be terrified. In the days that followed, Sarah felt the weight of fear pressing down on her. The police were called immediately, and forensic teams collected the evidence from the pizza box. The delivery driver was questioned, but he claimed to have no idea how the eyes got there. It was as if the terrifying package had appeared out of nowhere. The story quickly spread through the town, and whispers of horror grew among the community. People locked their doors tighter and watched each other with suspicion. As the investigation reopened the cold case of Evelyn's disappearance, old wounds resurfaced. Family members remembered strange incidents and odd behaviors from months ago an unknown phone call Evelyn had taken. Mysterious figures seen near her favorite places. Sarah's home was filled with police officers, detectives, and grief counselors, all trying to piece together a puzzle that seemed impossible to solve. But the pizza box was more than just a gruesome message. It was a challenge, a cryptic clue that pushed Sarah and the police to dig deeper into the mystery. The sight of her mother's eyes staring back at her was a horrifying reminder that Evelyn's story was far from over, and that the darkness lurking beneath the surface of their quiet town was just beginning to reveal itself. The disappearance of Evelyn had been a mystery that haunted Sarah and everyone who knew her for 6 long months. When Evelyn vanished, it felt like she had simply disappeared into thin air. No notes, no clues, no witnesses. The police had launched an investigation right away, but their efforts quickly ran cold. The town was small, tight-knit, and everyone assumed Evelyn might have run off or been involved in some personal trouble. Sarah never believed that. She knew her mother too well to think she would just vanish without a word. The day Evelyn disappeared started like any other. She left early in the morning to visit the local market, a place she loved for its fresh produce and friendly vendors. Sarah remembered how excited her mother was to try a new recipe and how she had called her the night before, mentioning a special ingredient she wanted to find. But after Evelyn left the house, she was never seen again. People at the market didn't recall seeing anything unusual, except one vendor who mentioned a shadowy figure lurking near the entrance that morning. For months, Sarah lived with the unbearable uncertainty of not knowing what had happened. Flyers with Evelyn's photo covered lampposts and walls around town, but none brought answers. Sarah would spend hours every day retracing her mother's last steps, visiting places Evelyn loved, hoping to find a clue. The police occasionally returned with no new leads, leaving the case cold and unsolved. Then came the day the pizza box arrived. The sight of her mother, S.I.'s, sealed in that grotesque package, reopened wounds that had barely begun to heal. It forced the police to look again at what they might have missed. As they revisited old evidence, small details emerged, details that at the time had seemed unimportant. One of those details was a mysterious phone call Evelyn received just days before she disappeared. The number was unknown, and when the police tried to trace it, it led nowhere. But Sarah remembered how uneasy her mother seemed after answering it. She had brushed it off at the time, but now it felt like a warning she had missed. The call might have been the start of something dangerous. Another clue came from a witness who had seen someone watching Evelyn at the market. This figure never approached her, but seemed to follow her from a distance. The description was vague, but enough to suggest the presence of a stalker, someone patient and careful, someone who didn't want to be noticed. As police detectives pieced these clues together, they discovered Evelyn's disappearance was no accident or random crime. It was planned and calculated. The pizza box, with its horrifying message, was proof that whoever was behind it wanted Sarah and the authorities to know that Evelyn was still alive. At least for some time after she vanished, the town began to feel the chill of fear. The realization that a dangerous person might be watching them sent waves of unease through the community. No one felt safe anymore, and trust began to break down. Sarah found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions, grief, anger, and a desperate need for answers. The investigation was far from over, and with every new piece of evidence, the mystery deepened. Evelyn's disappearance was connected to something bigger, something sinister hidden just beneath the town's peaceful surface. Sarah knew she had to keep searching, no matter how dark the path became. The truth was out there, waiting to be uncovered.